Now on BBC News, it's time for Sportsday.
You're live at the BBC Sports Centre with me, Chris Mitchell, coming up for you on Sports Day. Weighing up the opposition, Anthony Joshua puts his belts up for grabs as he takes on Alexander Povetkin.
Tough fight. Everything's on the line. He wants to become champion. And unfortunately, it has to be me that has to defend it and kind of fight him back. So let's rock and roll. I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Fischer catches golf's magic number as he goes sub-60 on the European Tour.
Chuffed for the day, going out, obviously trying to make the cut at level par, and then, shooting that is, just a great day all round.
And two new openers for England. Burns gets the call up for the Test squad, along with Joe Denley. Also coming up for you, we speak to the world mountain biking champion about her career going downhill fast. Anthony Joshua defending his 3 belts. Alexander Povetkin beaten only once in 35 fights. The bout between these two should be very special indeed. A packed Wembley Stadium too, and the forecast for rain across London. All the ingredients for a sporting spectacle. Adi Adedoyan is in London for us, where the weigh-in was taking place earlier. Adi, what did we learn from this moment when the two boxers were face to face?
I wonder whether what they weighed told us about how they're going to approach the fight. Anthony Joshua was nearly 2 stone heavier than Alexander Povetkin. And Povetkin, he said, maybe trying to utilize his speed. And interesting, when he was interviewed on stage afterwards, Joshua said he may have to employ his dancing feet to keep Alexander Povetkin in check. Joshua was very muscular. 17.5 stone he weighed. He looked a physical specimen as compared to Povetkin, who isn't normally the muscular type, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But when they stood face to face for the customary head-to-head shot, he towered over Alexander Povetkin. He's talked a lot about how this could potentially be one of the toughest fights of his career so far. That's what Anthony Joshua has said. He talked about being under an awful lot of pressure going into this contest, but he also says that he knows how to win a fight of this magnitude.
Now, Povetkin's strong, there's no doubt about that, and he's a good fighter as well. There's no doubt about that either. So I could go on my back foot and keep him at bay and do the UK-style boxing, 1-2, 1-2 hook. But you got to do also, the what do they call it, Mexican style, the defend and come back, defend and whip him in and get stuck in a bit. Don't be scared to get a little cut eye and a bloody nose. Ultimately, you're there for a fight, and ultimately, you've got to go through that to get a victory against someone like Povetkin. So I'm willing to kind of do what it takes.
Adi, there's a lot on the BBC website right now in the build-up to this fight that I've been reading, and some of it points to the fact that Anthony Joshua seems perhaps a little tense going into this fight. What chance he could lose to Povetkin?
Well, Povetkin, as you mentioned a little earlier, has only lost once in his career. He's a tough character. That defeat was to Vladimir Klitschko on points, but he went down 3 times in that bout. But he got up every time and just kept going. And his last fight was here in Britain. He fought on the undercard of Anthony Joshua's victory against Joseph Parker. He was put down in that fight by David Price, the former British champion, got up, rallied to win as well. So he's a tough individual. And he's a former Olympic champion going back to 2004. Technically very good. I spoke to David Price, his last opponent, who said that Povetkin is very good at closing the distance. He's very accurate with his punches as well. So from a technical standpoint, it could present a lot of challenges for Anthony Joshua. That's why he's not taking Povetkin lightly.
Adi, you were in Las Vegas last week. I was talking to you for another big bout. Where does this one rank in terms of the global stage?
It's a big fight because there's a lot riding on this for Anthony Joshua. It's not just the defense of his heavyweight title. There is also that carrot of a potential unification bout against Deontay Wilder next year. April next year at Wembley Stadium has been booked as a date for Anthony Joshua's next fight. If he gets through this one, All the talk is that they could get back to the negotiating table with Deontay Wilder. So he's under an awful lot of pressure. When he talks about the tons and tons of pressure he faces, it's not just defending his title, it's this mission to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So every time he goes into a bout, before that unification bout is made with Deontay Wilder, he cannot afford to take any risk. So it's a big fight. It's heavyweight boxing. Chris, you said yourself, they're fighting in front of 90,000 people. This is his 4th stadium fight in a row. It tells you how much of a big draw that Anthony Joshua is. He has that crossover appeal. He cuts through, and that's why this is such a big occasion. And he's up against, as I say, a very dangerous opponent who could cause an upset.
Adi Atherton, ringside as always for us here on Sports Day. Thanks very much. Have a good weekend. Now, it's snooker's 147. In running, it was the 4-minute mile. And in golf, it's the sub-60 round. And take a look at this. Who has signed this card? 59, something that until today had never been done on the European Tour. 18 players had come close, shooting 60 in Europe, but none had managed 59. But now Oliver Fischer has. Ben Croucher reports.
Just 2 feet from history. After 46 years and nearly 700,000 rounds of golf, this is all that stood between Oliver Fischer and greatness. The first man to break 60 on the European Tour.
A chuffed with the day, going out, obviously trying to make the cut at level par, and then, shooting that is, just a great day all round.
Having missed the cut in 3 of his last 4 tournaments, 4 birdies and an eagle in his first 6 holes, out in 28, the improbable became possible. When he dropped this birdie at the 12th, he was already 10 under for the day. At the 16th, it nearly unravelled. A nerve-jangling drop down the hill for par. Did drop. The dream was still alive. Birdie at 17 left him needing a par at the last for a 59 that was oh so nearly a 58. It danced with destiny. As it was, the simplest shot produced the most remarkable outcome.
Said on the back of 16th green, not very often we get a chance like this, so let's just try and hit a couple of good drives and enjoy it. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's quite easy when you're in that position to be quite tentative. And I got my drives away really well, which was really important.
This was golf's equivalent of a triple century, a 147. It didn't go unnoticed. What a round, said Tommy Fleetwood. Amazing, Ollie Fischer, said Luke Donald. The Ryder Cup captain called it a special moment for a special guy. It had Ian Poulter's approval and this from the world #1. Awesome. But for a fighting performance at this tournament 2 years ago, Fischer might not have even been here. On the same course, ranked outside the top 400 in the world, he scrambled just to save his tour card.
No, that was in the back of my mind. I got a great round going again on that Sunday, and it was a matter of keeping things going that day. So, I felt like I'd done it before. So that was a good thing to look back on.
Looking forward, well, he's made the cut in the lead. Win or not, pretty in pink, his place in history forever etched in black and white. Ben Croucher, BBC News.
So an amazing 59 from Oliver Fischer, but who is he? How much do we know about the man? Let's talk to somebody who does know him. Michael Duffy's the sales and marketing manager at the Centurion Golf Club, where Oliver plays. So, who is this man, Oliver Fischer? What's he like?
Hi, Chris. Ollie is a great guy. He has been attached to Centurion Club as our touring professional from the early days. He plays a lot of his golf here. He practices here. He plays in our Pro-Am in the summer, our Staff V member match in the winter. And he is very, very well thought of. We're all very, very fond of him, and we couldn't be prouder of his achievement today.
How surprised are you, Michael, that he has managed to get, well, he went round in par on day 1 of the Portugal Masters and then comes up with this 59. Did you realise he was capable of such things?
Absolutely, absolutely. Ollie has been showing a lot of really good form this year, narrowly missing out in the Qatar Masters. He's been practicing very hard. So, no, it's not a surprise that he's managed to do this. When he's hot, he's hot. And, yeah, let's hope he can go on to win the tournament this weekend.
And I like the idea that he comes back to his affiliated club and sort of plays with the members. Yep. Not every pro does that. So what is he like as a guy? What gets him going?
I think, he's just a really down-to-earth, decent guy. He enjoys people's company. He enjoys spending time with people. He'll sit in the bar and have a bite to eat with people afterwards. You know, we're all golfers here, and Ollie is a tour pro, achieving great things today. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to know about him. They want to see him hit a golf ball, and these guys do hit a golf ball a lot different to the rest of us. But yeah, he's just a regular, down-to-earth guy.
And there must be a lot of talk, of course, in the club, or there will be, about what he's done, and people enjoying a pint in there right now saying, blimey.
We were all watching it on the TV earlier and cheering him on. You know, when he held that putt on 16 for par, the birdie on 17 to set up the 59, and nearly shooting a 58. You know, a tap in for a 59 is quite an achievement, and we're all very, very happy. And you know, a lot of the guys in the European Tour who think a lot of him as well will be very, very happy for him today as well.
When are you likely to see him again? Is there going to be some kind of... You should throw a party for him, at least buy him a drink.
The champagne is on ice, definitely, and we're looking forward to seeing him when he gets back.
59 for the front nines, good for me. England have named 2 new openers in their squad for this winter's Test tour of Sri Lanka. Rory Burns and Joe Denley are the men who will have their chance to stake a claim for a starting spot. Now, it's the first squad not to include Alistair Cook. He retired, of course, after 12 years at the top of the order. Here it is in full for you, 16 men. Ollie Stone from Warwickshire is the other newcomer you can see there. He was also included in the one-day squad named earlier this week. So let's break it down a bit. These are the 3 openers for you. Burns, Denley and Keaton Jennings, perhaps a shade fortunate to get in, averaging 22 right now. Let's hear from the chief selector, Ed Smith.
Rory Burns, who's been the leading run scorer and has captained Surrey to the title this year, comes in, who has yet to make his debut. And Joe Denley from Kent makes a return to international cricket. He did play a few one-dayers quite a long time ago, so it's been a big gap for him. He comes back in, but a very different cricketer now from what he was then.
Specialist middle-order batsmen, just the 2. The captain, Joe Root, and Ollie Pope, who just played 2 tests. Johnny Bairstow and Joss Butler are the wicket-keepers. Bairstow expected to keep the gloves. Moeen Ali, Ben Stokes, the all-rounders in the side. Moeen Ali could bat as high as 3, of course. The all-rounders, Sam Curran and Chris Wokes. Sam Curran had a great summer, didn't he? Batting well and bowling well. Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad, though, once again, front line in the attack. Here's Ed Smith.
You've got 2 prolific bowlers, England's most prolific Test match bowlers, 136, 132, both formidable performers in international cricket. What you don't want to do is for them both to finish at the same time and then sort of go, oh, who's going to be taking the new ball for England tomorrow? The 2 winter tours from a Test match point of view, first of all, Sri Lanka, we're talking about that now, November, and then a bit of a gap, and in the new year, 3 tests in the West Indies. So actually, if you think about it, it's a pretty manageable, we believe it's a manageable workload for those 2.
And, of course, more spin options for England come from Adil Rashid and Jack Leach, who debuted in New Zealand earlier this year. The tour, it starts on the 6th of November. OK, also coming up for you, we hear from triathlon's world champion, Vicky Holland. She tells me her next challenge is to make it to Tokyo. And Rachel Atherton's mountain bike career is going downhill faster than anyone else's. The Champions League of Darts gets underway this weekend in Brighton. The world's best players will battle it out for the £100,000 prize money. The former electrician Rob Cross, who built the darts legend Phil Taylor to win the PDC title in January, says the format is the winner, for the fans at least.
The best 8 players in the world will all battle it out in groups of 4. There'll be a round robin, so there'll be enough games there to see your favourite players sort of not just once. You're going to see them three times guaranteed, and not being funny if they make the final and they win it, which hopefully they support me. It sort of gives them an opportunity and come in and get a feel for it. The atmosphere is going to be really good here, and it's something what's unique with darts. The atmosphere is amazing. I absolutely thrive on it. I love to walk out in the big crowds, and I hope they do too, sort of coming in and enjoy it.
You can follow the tournament across the BBC from tomorrow, with coverage getting underway on BBC One at 1:15. The evening session and Sunday's action will be on BBC Two. Other news in brief for you now. Sergio Aguero has signed a one-year contract extension with Manchester City. It takes him through to 2021. He joined the club in 2011. He's already scored 204 goals. The Scotland fullback Stuart Hogg is going to miss all 4 matches in the Autumn International Series. He's had surgery on an ankle problem and will be out for up to 3 months. Great Britain's Olympic freestyle skier Katie Summerhays has ruptured a cruciate ligament in her knee for a 3rd time. She was injured on a big air jump in New Zealand. She says she's heartbroken and gutted, but promised she'd be back skiing again. Great Britain's Vicky Holland is back from Australia's Gold Coast, where she became triathlon world champion for the first time. Holland, who won a bronze at the 2016 Olympics, told me she was surprised to win the series, having focused mainly on winning at the Commonwealth Games, where she actually came 4th. Now, though, after this achievement, she's told me she has her sights set on an even tougher challenge, making it to Tokyo 2020.
It's a really tough process to qualify for the Olympic Games. With triathlon in the UK, we've got so many girls who really could be on that team and would do a really good job in that team, could come home with medals. There's only 3 spaces. So first things first, yes, I might be on top of the world this year, but there's no guarantees that next year or the year after I will be. So I've got to try and qualify. And then providing I qualify, it'll be full steam ahead into Tokyo.
Do you get enough publicity, do you think, the triathletes? Compared to, say, I'm thinking track and field or the people who just swim?
I think maybe that's a curse of being a multi-sport event, but it's not something that I probably pay too much attention to. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see more publicity around triathlon just to keep growing the sport, and it is growing just so fast. The grassroots level is absolutely huge.
Has there been an improvement, do you think, in the way sport is covered in terms of gender and the balance between men and women and how they're covered?
With triathlon, I'm very, very lucky in that I'm from a sport that's relatively young in terms of how long it's been around and known about. And because of that, it's very, very equal. And I'm so privileged, I think, to be part of a sport where we have completely equal opportunities as the men. We race exactly the same courses as them, we have the same crowds, we have the same sponsorship opportunities, we have the same prize money, and those things are actually really,
That's
really
interesting, isn't it? And do you think that's by virtue of it being a younger sport?
I think it is, yeah. I think some of the sports that come in, or have come in, you know, a century ago, more than a century ago, at that point, it was only men really that were allowed to do the sports. And it takes such a long time and a lot to change the traditional way that those sports operate. Whereas our sport doesn't have that. The tradition of our sport is that anyone can do it.
There was a big announcement yesterday, of course, WADA allowing Russia back in. Do you have any thoughts about that? Is that something that, as a triathlete and triathletes, you talk about amongst yourselves?
It's something that's sort of flown under my radar a little bit, just with all the build-up to the World Championships that's been going on, and then flying back from Australia, jet lag has hit. But yeah, it is something that I do find disappointing, because we're living in a time, we're living in an era where the public already has a very negative perception of elite sport, and there is a lot of scepticism about the performances that are coming out from elite sports people. And to go and make such a big statement as to ban a nation because it was proven as pretty much as close as you can be that they were using a state-sponsored doping regime, for that nation to then not really have met the criteria to be reinstated, but being reinstated anyway, how can we expect the public to believe in what we're doing? And that, for me, is quite heartbreaking, because I know what I put into sport, and I really believe that triathlon in general is actually a pretty clean sport. And maybe I'm being naive, but I just think if I can stand on top of a podium and if I can be the world champion, then anyone can be the world champion without taking drugs.
Just a final one, a brighter one, perhaps. A lot of people who are going to go out and do a park run on Saturday morning would probably... How quickly could you do a 5K if you went out now?
Oof.
What's your kind of average?
Right now, I think probably somewhere just under 16 minutes, maybe 15 and a half, 15 high, something like that.
Gosh. And 10K?
Yeah, probably 32 high at the minute. The shape I'm in right now.
God,
It changes throughout the year, but right now I think that's probably where I'm at.
Too fast for us. A teenage driver who lost both his legs after crashing his car at 120 miles per hour during a race is back behind the wheel and returning to the circuit where the accident happened. Billy Manga has inspired the racing world with his recovery from the near-fatal collision at Donington Park. £800,000 was raised by well-wishers in the days afterwards, and in a converted car, he still hopes to fulfil his dream of racing in Formula One.
My memories of the accident and from Donington are quite strong. Like, I remember a lot. I don't tend to really think about it too much nowadays, which is quite nice. For me, it's all about getting the results this weekend. As much as this place has a special and weird emotion that it brings out of me, when I get in the car, it's all about driving as fast as I can.
OK, now on Sportsday, we've got another guest, Rachel Atherton, a 6-time World Cup champion and a 6-time, if you listen to her, world champion as well at mountain biking.
That's right.
They say 5 officially, but you call it 6. Why is it 6?
Well, officially it's 5 elite world titles and 1 as a junior. So I count the junior one as well. So 6, yeah.
Recently crowned world champion again for doing this, riding a mountain bike very fast downhill. Now, where's this? Tell us about what's going on here.
Yeah, this is the World Championship winning run over in Lenzerheide in Switzerland. Last week it was. So this is it. This is what it's all about. We fly down the mountain as fast as we can. Lots of rocks and tree roots and big jumps. You can see here it's just really incredibly technical stuff all over the floor, and you're piloting your bike through, trying not to crash, and pedaling, and yeah, really just really high-paced excitement.
Why is this not an Olympic sport?
Well, exactly. I mean, it really should be. It's got everything that an Olympic sport should be. It's exciting, it's easy to understand, it's current with the younger generation, you know, everyone, the whole world participates. It's got everything. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Look at the people on the hill. There was 60,000 people there that weekend watching.
60,000.
Watching the race, exactly, yeah.
And actually, just watching it is quite scary enough, isn't
Your heart
it?
rate's going up, yeah.
You must have had some pretty nasty falls to become as good as you are.
Yeah. I mean, you know, injuries and crashing is part of the sport, unfortunately. And at the World Championships in 2017, I fell and broke my collarbone and snapped all the ligaments. So this year was kind of my comeback year, coming back from injury. And, you know, to go from rock bottom back to the top of the world it's an amazing thing to achieve. But, you know, it's just testament to how fun it is.
And how long have you been doing this now?
I've been racing. Well, I won my first elite world title in 2008, so to win one 10 years later this year is really great.
And how long can you carry on for, do you think?
I think, you know, a question of how long you'll keep going is how much you enjoy it. You know, if you're still enjoying it and having fun, then that really goes a long way to your motivation and how much your body can take.
Do you get
how
enough
much punishment?
publicity, do you think, for the work you've done and for the achievements you've made?
Yeah, I mean, downhill mountain biking is not a mainstream sport, it's not an Olympic sport, so, you know, we rely on our industry of cycling being huge, which it is. You know, it's a really fantastic industry, it's growing all the time, and it stands on its own 2 feet. You know, I always say we don't need the Olympics to be a successful industry, and that's something I'm really proud of. Obviously, you know, we're athletes and everyone's training and you know, the same as any other sport, so, yeah.
But you wouldn't say no, would you, if the IOC came along and said...
Yeah. I mean, it's something we should all push for, and, you know, we've talked about it before, but for some reason, you know, they're not interested yet, but I've got a feeling that, you know, over the next few years, it would be something they were interested in.
You're crossing the line, becoming champion.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking right now? Do you know you've done well?
Right now, you're just totally in the zone, you're completely wired, and you're trying to... I was looking at the board to see my name at the top and just thinking, is that it? Have I won? And then it sinks in, and the other girls come over and they're hugging you, and just seeing, you know, your family and everyone at the finish line, there's no feeling like that. It's amazing.
Well, I feel a little bit queasy after watching that. Thanks to Rachel Atherton. That's all we've got time for on Sports Day right now. A huge weekend. Anthony Joshua up against the Russian Povetkin. Cardiff taking on Manchester City. Manchester United, are they in a run of good form all of a sudden after those back-to-back losses? They face Wolves. And if you're going out to play the monthly medal at your golf course, how about you try and shoot a 59? For the first hole, at least. That's all from Sports Day. We'll have more for you throughout the evening. Bye for now.